Introducing a series of special podcasts for Saint-Gobain Career Day. Join Valentina, Amie, Julie, Anika and Lisa as they discuss their experiences and challenges as women in senior roles. In this episode, you can hear the answer to the age-old question, can women really have it all? Listen as the group chat about what it's like balancing family and career and what tips they'd give to anyone trying to do the same.
Hi, so I'm Amie and I'm joined today by Anika and Valentina, and we're here to talk about balancing career and family. So you're both in very senior roles, women in senior roles across Saint-Gobain in different businesses. So I'll ask you the question, can we have it all?
Oh, absolutely, Amie. I want to have it all, always wanted to have it all. And it's the old dichotomy then the career and family are mutually exclusive. They're not. You just have to be patient because it takes time to build your career alongside building your family. As long as you are not setting yourself a really unrealistic expectations in either your family or your career fields, then you should be able to achieve both. Do you agree, Anika?
I firmly believe in what you say, and I agree what you said. It's about leading with example as well. So for myself, I have two young girls, and seeing my mom, who was very passionate about her career, but a brilliant mom, gave me an idea of I can have a career as well. And I want the same for my two girls as well, that they grew up thinking they can do and be whatever they want to be.
And what would you say to your children who perhaps will be looking at the same thing in the future? So it sounds like you want to be role models for your children. What would you tell them?
In terms of having a career, I think it's like Valentina said, it's about prioritizing, understanding what you want to achieve. And it's, finding a balance between your work, your career goals and ambitions, and what you want to have as family. I think personally, the biggest challenge that we face is wanting to achieve everything at the same time. And it's prioritizing your life and your work ambitions as well, is what I think has been what has helped me in my career, is understanding, at different stages in life, when you have very young children, the priorities are different, whereas the flexibility of work is very important, and adaptability is very important as well.
And if you think about the modern days we're living in, our career span is probably, we're talking anything between 30 and 40 years. So it's time to have it all. So you potentially might choose to have children early in your career and then have a job which allows you support around the family. But then it's still another 20 years of thinking about yourself and build that career. And nowadays, whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, I think it's fortunate that both have to work in the family, because modern families are relying on dual income, and therefore the roles in the modern family are changing as well. There's no more sort of these traditional roles, and the women stay at home and men go be breadwinner, and then they come home and just enjoy the evenings, and where women looking after kids. I think it's all very blended nowadays. Absolutely. And as long as it's these roles are actually supporting women, so that support at home, then it's absolutely it's all possible. I was actually at one of our businesses yesterday, and I met a lady who is in a very senior position, and she told me she's got 4 kids, aged between 13 and 14. And I was like, oh my God, isn't it amazing? What a role model. Yeah. And I'm seeing now in our organization, there are more women with families, not necessarily children, but might have responsibilities for their sort of extended family, for their parents. I know senior roles, maybe when we started 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. Quite often women were in senior position, maybe with a limited family responsibilities, maybe the choices they made towards career. But now, sometimes the choices are taken away. If we want to have it all, then we can have it all.
No, absolutely. I think it's your work providing you that flexibility helps, but also seeing like women in senior roles, for the example that you gave, or seeing yourself, you have a daughter as well. You are in a very senior role, seeing that it is possible to have that level of responsibility and a family and a life. It's possible to have that. So that helps, having that setup from the work, which is a flexible environment, adaptable environment. And, seeing women do that, thrive in those kind of roles is absolutely possible. So
But let's face it, it's not easy. It's not easy. No. So, we do have to, maybe we can all share examples of how we balance our careers and, our family responsibilities. A good tip from me, it will be to have like a Google family calendar. Yeah. So whoever puts the appointment in first between me and my husband takes the priority. So if I have a night away, if I'm there first, that's not negotiable. It's something we agreed some time ago, because this conversation, because career is more important, they're non-starters because both careers are important. Therefore, this is the rule. If I'm there first, I'm going first. That's it. So what about your tips, Anika?
I think it's really, so I have very young children, both toddlers. I think it's really prioritizing your time because they do want a lot of your time, your energy, your focus. So it's to be able to sort of say, this is my time with them, and this is my time at work, which is prioritized. So that's what you say about finding the balance between you and your partner and maybe your support system around that allows you to have that level of flexibility, with your work, but also, to get that some time for yourself as well. So I think being conscious and making those decisions, what are you going to prioritize at that, with the set of time that you have, is what I would say is what I would do. I'm not as organized with Google Calendar yet, but maybe next step. Yeah,
that's a good tip. You talked about flexibility, so you've mentioned that a couple of times, Anika. So from work, how do you see that working really well?
So in my role, it helps me a lot that I have the flexibility to work from home when I need to. But also if I have, for example, an urgent appointment, and then, for example, that happens quite often that toddlers get sick in the nursery. And if my calendar allows, I am able to then sort of pick them up and catch up on whatever I need to catch up later in the day. So that flexibility, and I think any parent would appreciate that level of flexibility where you're accountable for your responsibility, for your role, not for the number of hours that you are at work. Yeah.
What about you, Valentina? Flexibility for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm completely agree with what Anika said about children. So my daughter is 23, so she's a bit older. So I'm a little bit, I'm sort of less constrained by the school hours, by the school holidays. And I wish I had that flexibility when my daughter was growing up. But I have a new challenge in my stage of my life where my parents are getting older and my parents are living 3,000 miles away. So the flexibility I have is with great support of my manager is actually I can go and work from a town called Minsk, which is a long way away. But then I am, I'm there spending time with my parents in the evenings and weekends. And I'm also, committed 100% or even more because I'm so grateful for the company who gives me that opportunity not to take my annual leave away from a UK family. Is that balancing? Then I felt maybe in the past I was torn. Do I spend the time in the UK or do I spend the time in Belarus? But actually I can do now both as long as it's all organized, arranged. I've got a very strong team here on the ground who can support me. So that's opportunity, flexibility we have today is really valuable to me.
That's great to hear, and thank you for sharing those your very personal stories there. What would you say so you've talked about the good stuff and how you're navigating around career and family. What have been the big challenges though during your careers in terms of balancing?
For me, it was try to be perfectionist. I think is something where women are very good at sometimes, not all of them, but some of them are. We want to be perfect mothers, perfect wives, perfect sisters, daughters, not sons.
Someone's a son.
Yeah, so, and then be perfect, but also we want to be perfect at work. We want to achieve and overachieve at work. It's actually, to have this, I had to learn that we need to ask for help and not be afraid of asking for help. So if somebody who is providing that help is not as good as we are, but that's fantastic, we're just helping us out. Don't be perfectionists, just let others to be involved and help us. And that's what that would be was a big learning for me, is just don't put everything on my shoulders and just get others involved. And people quite often are happy to help, especially grandparents if they're grandkids, aren't they, if they can. But not everyone asks. So ask as much as possible for help to create more time for yourself.
Yeah. I think for me, it would be similar to what you said. I learned pretty early on with my oldest child that it'll take me some time to figure this out, to have a child, have a career. And at that time in my career, I was traveling quite a lot. How do we make it work out as a family? And it's about, fighting that urge to be perfect, and choose progress instead of perfection, in that sense, to say, take step by step to go, try to figure out as a family how we're going to make this work, because we both have career ambitions. We both want to work. We are both wanting to, grow in that sense. So how do we make this work for our family? And there's no perfect solution. There's no playbook by which you can play. So you figure it out for yourself and for your family step by step.
And I hope the society is changing now. So there's no pressure on women like to be perfect mothers, to be at the school gate by 3 o'clock. I never was at the school date, but I kind of felt that guilt of not being there, not picking my child from school. And I know with flexible working we have today, you can have a balance, maybe pick your kids up a couple of times a week. That wasn't an option when my daughter was growing up. And I hope women are feeling less guilty balancing family and their careers. And also, sometimes things happen. Like Anika, I know you remember you said you couldn't go to one of the execs meeting because the girls had chicken pox, and you felt guilty, didn't you? Yes. It's just
guilt
like
is the biggest. I think guilt is the biggest factor, because you feel like you are letting down yourself to some extent, because you want to sort of be there. You want to exude what is expected from you. But that expectation, I think, is personal, right? Because you were saying that this is the bar that you have to hold yourself to, because everybody else does it. But not everybody else is in the same state of life that you are. So I think that's sort of understanding where are you at and what are the possibilities for you is quite important.
Maybe be kind to yourself. You said something, expectations are personal. Yeah, we're really good to set ourselves really high expectations.
That's right, perfection, right? That's what about you? Because you have a family as well.
I do. So my daughter's quite young, so I'm navigating it, but I'm hearing you, Valentina. I'm absolutely taking advantage of the flexible working, that when I'm at home, I am taking the opportunity to walk my daughter to school. And not only am I with her in the morning, but it's also a nice start for me. Actually, I'm getting a little bit of exercise before I start work. I think for me, it's having those clear boundaries between work and home, and not just the physical boundaries, but being present. So being really present at home when I'm at home, and not thinking about work and not thinking about the meeting I've got the next day. So I think that's a particular challenge I've been working on in terms of how I can be present. So even though I'm physically there, it's just making sure your phone's away and you're interacting with my daughter. I'm interacting with my daughter without thinking about work.
That's such an important point, the boundaries. I think we, some of our colleagues are really good at it. And I think probably I noticed the younger generation, and that's something I need to work on personally, because boundaries for me are blurred. I think COVID probably didn't help us, working from home. But, as you rightly said, just leave your phone, focus on your family, whoever's in your family, and just be present.
And I think that helps also, because when you are sort of able to segregate between, now it's my time to focus on family and now it's my time to focus on work, you can also sort of recharge yourself when you are with the family, and then you don't have that said guilt when you are focusing on work. So I'm looking up to you now.
I've not got it 100. I've not got all the answers. I know what I need to do, and I'm practicing it. And like I said, none of us are perfect. And I think sometimes good enough is enough. I think being kind. I think absolutely being kind to ourselves, because I think we're our own biggest critics sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's good to have, I think, some chats with your line manager as well, because we all we might have a grown up family. We also might have a young family. Just to maybe share some of his feelings, not be afraid of sharing those feelings. Then, when I was talking to my manager how I'm feeling about, being away from my parents, not being able to see them, it was all support there. So, I know, Anika, you said you have a very supportive manager as well. So hopefully we have many of them in the organization. We shouldn't be afraid, because at the end of the day, these are human challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're all navigating together.
So thinking about your teams and from your positive experience of flexible working, what advice would you give hiring managers who had an excellent candidate but they were looking for some flexibility?
For me, it's a pretty much straightforward answer. If you're looking to hire somebody, you're looking at their experience, the mindset that they bring to the table. And as an employer, we do offer flexible working as an opportunity, hybrid working or working from home in certain roles. So yes, go for it. That shouldn't be an inhibitor to hire somebody, because talent comes in all forms, shapes and sizes. So we just have to accept that. And that's how the world is right now. So.
For me, completely agree. I'm pleased to work, so delighted to work for a company who offers flexible working. So I think it's here to stay. I think we'll be in trouble if we get everyone back to office 5 days a week. But when I think about recruiting and flexible working requests, even from existing employees, I quite often think about what impact on the team and on the individual and on the tasks, sort of that triangle. So if we think about an individual, we're putting flexible working requests for a very good reason. So always think about, okay, how it's going to impact on the team. And it has to be here a little bit of flexibility on both sides, because we can't have the whole team off on a Friday, for example, because we're in operational roles. It's like if this person is flexible and they want to work condensed working hours and they want to have a Monday off to care for their family, then it's fine, because, we're not off on a Friday. From a manager perspective, I think we need to put our point across as well, to say we're here, we have a purpose, we have organization to support, we have a work tasks to do. Can we find a way? Is that open that dialogue? Can we find a way so we can support an individual, we can support organization as well, and we can make sure that the team is supported, because we need to have hybrid working. We need to have people in the office so the newcomers can learn from people with experience. So it's no barriers to working flexibly. It's just how we work flexibly and how we can collectively, create that environment for each other.
I think you're absolutely right about being more task focused than the time clocked in focus. And I think that's the difference, right? So you can be flexible as long as you can manage your tasks and your responsibilities and together with your team support. If you're not available on certain days, then what's the barrier actually? Yeah.
So taking all of that, thinking about people who might be navigating some of these challenges, they might be very early on in starting a family, or they might be at their other end looking after, elderly relatives. What hints and tips or advice would you give to those people?
Difficult in terms of advice, but the one thing that I am learning now, and sort of links to what you mentioned before, is as women, we tend to bit around the perfectionism. We are really focused on our career. We give our 100%. We're really focused around the family. We give 150%, 100% to serve them, to make sure that they are well taken care of. But we sometimes forget ourselves. And that's the bit that somebody actually mentioned that to me, and it made me think about it. It's about making sure that your not only physical but also mental health is in a space that you can serve your family and your work is very important, because we're sometimes and often stretched too thin when we have those phases in life when we're taking care of young children or elderly parents or even older children. I mean, it's always work around it. So yeah, taking care of yourself as well in all of this is really important.
Thanks, Anika.
Completely couldn't agree more, because I think we especially when you become, in the senior roles you also have the team to care about, and, people go through various changes in life. So we're here to support, and it's just taking that time for yourself. And maybe if it needs to be to reach out to these external resources. We have mental health status at work. We have external support with external providers. If we need to, not be afraid to put a hand up and talk to, repeating myself, but talking to your line manager to say, well, actually, I'm struggling a little bit here. And I think that, stigma that, you can't show your emotions at work, that's hopefully gone forever. So we can show our vulnerability, and we should show our vulnerability, especially in the leadership positions, and admit that it's temporary, because everything in life is temporary. It's a temporary stage of life. Tomorrow is going to be a better day, and we can get through it together.
Oh, brilliant end to that. Thank you very much, Anika and Valentina, for joining me on that session.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amie.